Post license, working with buyers. You know, a lot of agents is that's all they want to do is work with a buyer. They'd rather not have the seller calling them every day saying, how many times you show it? What'd they say? Because they always want to know, what'd they say? Well, I actually didn't show it. Another agent showed it, and they never gave me any feedback. So I don't know what, and that's the way it normally works. Mm-hmm. You don't get a lot of feedback unless there's something wrong. Mm-hmm. They say, well, you know, it smells like a cat in there. And, yeah, well, that's good feedback because you told the owner first time you walked in, the place smells like cats. And you need to at least clean the carpet, get the cats out of here. But they didn't hear it. They just want to know, how much can we get for it? Mm-hmm. Well, we get more if we get rid of the cat smell. But there are a lot of buyers, agents that just want to work with buyers. We have one of our most productive agents. That's all she does. Mm-hmm. She sits at new home communities. There are a lot of builders around here that we work with if they need somebody because their agent can only work there 5 days a week, right. But they want somebody there 7 days a week. So we'll supply them with an agent. And that's what she loves. She doesn't have to do any marketing. She doesn't have to reach out and have a database and all this stuff. She just sits there and somebody walks in and says, yeah, this is the one for me. Can you write it up, please? Mm-hmm. Not quite that easy. But it's some people are more comfortable with that. She actually sold one to somebody, and then they said, well, I got to sell my house. Can you help me with that? She really didn't want to. Mm-hmm. But she said, okay. And so she called me and said, what'd I do? Well, we went over there and met them, told them how the system works, made the pictures, and within like 3 days, we had a contract on the house. Mm. So now she's thinking, well, maybe I need some listings too. Well, see, if you don't do it, you don't know. But we're going to work with buyers tonight and how we need to help them find out all the things they need. Got some learning objectives. Caveat emptor. We're going to talk about that again. So a lot of these things we've talked about before and after and in the middle, like RECAD. We've talked about RECAD in a dozen different sessions. Mm-hmm. Communication skills. The number one reason people complain about us is we won't answer the phone. I hear that so often. Well, you won't answer the phone. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't answer the phone. I'll try to do better next time. That's a weakness. You've got to work to overcome those weaknesses. Maybe you need to get you an assistant. Let them answer the phone for you. There's a lot going on just in the buying process, just like in the selling. We've got to educate the seller on what to expect. Here we're going to educate the buyer on what to expect. We're still under the same fair housing and antitrust laws with buyers that we were with sellers. We got to deal with those things. Disclosures. Some people come here from another state where they have a seller disclosure form. They want to see it. Well, Alabama doesn't have one. So we got to deal with that as well. Inspections, financing, and how do we show property? So let's get started. All right. RECAD. I'm pretty sure y'all know what RECAD is by now. That's where we're going to talk about agency and transaction broker and agent, all the things that we've got to have on the top of our head as we're talking to people. Our communication skills. You got 2 ears, 1 mouth. That tells me I need to be listening twice as much as I should be talking. Things like, don't ask them just yes and no questions, because that's all you'll get is a yes and no answer. You won't really get the details of stuff you're trying to find out. Ask them open-ended questions. Tell me, what is it about the house that you fell in love with and wanted to buy it? Well, that opens up, they can talk about a lot of things there. You can ask them, what did they not like about the house? that they would want in their next house. Well, they'll tell you about that. Well, I really wish I'd have got a garage. Well, then as you're helping them find this new house, well, let's look for one with a garage. That's the one they're really that's gonna be a hot button issue with them, right after school zones. That's gonna be, as long as they get the kids in the right schools, then all this other stuff kind of falls in line. This is off the Real Estate Commission's website. They give us a lot of things that they would like for us to do with new agents. And here they're telling us use video, DVDs, all these kind of things to show you what you should be doing. Want us to role play. We'll be role playing our final project. Y'all will role play as you'll present if you do a listing presentation or a buyer agency presentation, y'all will be role playing with us. And we'll be asking you questions about, well, why did you do it this way? Why do you think that? And that'll give you some experience, just like I want y'all this week to talk to a for sale by owner. You need to get out of your shell. We live in a little protected zone. We don't want anybody in our zone. We really don't want to jump over in their zone. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're not comfortable getting out of your zone, you're probably not going to get any paychecks in this business. Because just because you got a license doesn't mean anybody's going to call you. You're going to have to reach out and communicate with them somehow. And a little experience with role playing, at least you've done it one time. When y'all actually get your first listing or presentation, you'll come in and we're going to fill the paperwork out together. And then you're going to present it to me as if you're presenting it to your client. That way you've done it at least once and you know what's in each one of these paragraphs. Because you don't want to be sitting down with a buyer and say, well, it's the first time I've ever seen this buyer agency. Let's read it together. No, don't do that. Read it before you go. Understand what each section means. Because you're creating a relationship with them, fiduciary relationship. They expect you to be an expert already. And if you look like you're one, it carries across. Just like you were telling me, that fella that met me a couple of weeks ago, just the way I was dressed gave me a leg up. He said, you know what, you had to come in here in shorts and a t-shirt that said Budweiser on it. I wouldn't have had the credibility. Just looking the part gives you credibility. So you're going to have to get out there and actually talk to some people though. Y'all got the experience now. Y'all know what you're doing. You've been all the way through pre-license. We're halfway through post-license. So let's do a little getting out of our shell. This is just some of the things that they suggest doing to talk to people. Educating. That's kind of what you do. They don't know. What have I got to do? What's going on? Are people just going to be coming and knocking on the door? They don't know. You got to tell them, here's how it works. Here's what we're going to do. They don't understand things like mortgages. They're working with a buyer. I'm going to say less than 15% of the deals are going to be cash. And they're usually the lower end properties. $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. They can't get a mortgage on those anyway, but they'll have cash. But you get up in the $200,000, $300,000, not likely they're going to write a check. So you're going to need to know about financing and mortgages, how they work. Oh, we got all these inspections we got to deal with. There's a lot going on there. We touched on some of them last night. We're going to look at a little more tonight. Disclosures, warranties, surveys. We've touched on this already in this course. Some of this stuff's redundant. You'll see it again and again, just like recap. We see it so many times. We should know that's the first form we need to get out of our case. This is our fair housing ADA stuff, showing property. You see that first line, the first showings on the internet? Y'all are familiar with that. If you're looking for something, you don't call an agent and say, what you got available for sale in this area? No. you're going to go on the internet. There are 100 sites out there, from Zillow, Realtor.com. There are bunches of them. But you're going to search the area you want. You're going to know by the time you've been on the internet an hour looking at properties, you kind of have a good idea of what the prices are and where they are, what the features are. You can click on the picture, and some of them will have 50 pictures. And you can just look through them and say, oh, I really like this one, but it's way overpriced. Because there's another one right over here that I saw almost just like it for $15,000 less. I wonder why this one's so much more. You may never even check on that one. You would gravitate, remember principal substitution. You're going to go to the one that fits your needs, that's going to be the better value for you. So internet, that is, it's going to be our friend and our enemy. Because if you don't get that first contact with them, how are you going to move from there? So the internet's, you're going to get your properties out on the internet. And the buyers that you're working with, they're looking out on the internet, and they may see one they like. And oh, there's a little agent's name on the side, and they click on that other agent's name. They never even call you. That's why we're going to go to buyer agency. That's how you're going to hold them to you. More stuff there on showing properties. Here we go with RECAD. This is where they want us to start every time, so you get it straight in your head that this is where we start. The RECAD form establishes anything, agency or anything with this. Not really. You're just giving them a form saying, here's how we can work together. We don't have a relationship right now, so we're going to start at that first one, transaction broker. Like the agent I've just mentioned that likes working in the new home communities, she may not have to establish any kind of agency with them. They walk in and say, yeah, this is the one I want. Help me write the paper up. Because there's really no negotiating or anything on a new home. The builder's got a price on it, and you take there or move somewhere else. So a lot of times you can get by with being just a transaction broker. You don't have to give them any advice. But if you do, we need to go to an agency relationship. Last night we worked with listing. That was a listing agreement which creates agency. Tonight we're going to have a buyer agency agreement that lays out our responsibilities to those buyers. Sometimes we're going to have the listing and somebody's going to call us on that listing. Just out of the blue, you'll get a phone call. I'd like to see your listing over here on Main Street. Can you show it to me? Well, can you? Of course you can. Absolutely. But what kind of relationship do you have with them? They just want to see it. You may not create an agency relationship with them. Meet them at the property. I'm going to tell you something about showing houses now. Don't put somebody in your car. Don't get in your car and their car. Meet them at the property. And they can follow you. You can follow them to the next house. It's just dangerous. Right now, I don't think we've had any agents killed in Birmingham in 3 or 4 years now. But they do. They get killed here. The last one that got killed was taking an Earnest Money check to her office one night about 9 o'clock. Well, don't do that. Don't. It'll wait till tomorrow. But we may have to go to dual agency because this person that called you on that said, hey, I don't have anybody helping me. Can you help me? No. Yes, of course you can. And you'd probably want to establish single agency with them, and then you're going to have to move to the dual agency, but that'd just be on that one showing. But then you're going to work with them to show them other properties because that may not be the one for them. You'll show a whole lot of properties and they say, yeah, what else you got? But a lot of that, back to the slide we saw earlier, internet, they've already called out. It's no telling how many. They've looked and said, no, 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 no. In fact, the only reason they're asking questions is so they can eliminate that one. Has it got a garage? No. All right, what else you got? I'm looking for a 2-car garage. You got anything like that? Not actually, I don't have a listing like that, but we can search and we will find listings like that. We've got somebody right now that's looking for property in the next county down. He wants at least a couple of acres. And he wants a house on it, and he wants it all for about $120,000. Well, that makes it a small little section. We won't have to look at many. We can, get that list down to probably 5 or 6 properties really fast just by looking at pictures on the internet. And then there may be 1 or 2 that said, yeah, I want to see that one and that one. Okay, he's not wanting to waste his time either, going out and looking at these houses that don't fit what he wants. You can look at the pictures as to whether it's got 9 acres, but 8 of them's on the cliff and 1 of them's up here on the top of the, yeah, that's all you're really getting. But the internet says it's got 9 acres. Well, you can eliminate a lot of this stuff. Sub-agent, we don't need to deal with that because everyone's a sub-agent of their broker. In Alabama, don't have implied agency. Well, I should say, some people imply they're agents just by their actions. They start giving you advice. Don't do that. You can help them fill out the paperwork. How much would you like to offer? When would you like to close? What would you like? What do you want me to write on the paper? That's just transaction broker. You get into the agency and then they'll say, what do you think we should offer? Well, as long as you are transaction broker, you don't want to imply that you're giving them advice. Make your roles clear with them. Y'all remember this? Hard questions. That's what you owe everyone. Everybody, you meet them at the grocery store line and they see your name tag and they say, what's the market like around here? And you just start talking and they say, well, I've been looking at those little house right over there. Can you show that to me? Can you? Absolutely, you can show it to them without any kind of agency relationship. You do need to give them the recap form and say, there are different ways you can work with us. And there's an information booklet that goes along with it that explains those things to them. So once they make a decision, they want you, just go unlock it for me. That's all I want you to do is just unlock it for me. Okay. Then we're going to stay up as transaction broker and you owe all these duties to them. The hard questions. Got to be honest with them. Lie to no one. That'll get you in trouble really fast because we have fraud. Not frog, but fraud. Fraud is where you lied to somebody or didn't tell them the whole truth. They depended on what you told them and then they were damaged by what you told them. That's going to get you in trouble. So be honest. If the house is, it's a rat hole, don't tell them it's the best house in the city. You got to account for any funds they give you. Because if you're a buyer's agent, then you're going to write a contract and there's going to be this thing called earnest money. Earnest money is what Ernest puts up to show he's earnest about doing the deal. Well, if Ernest gives you some money, you can't just take that money and put it in your pocket and say, well, that's going to be part of my commission. No, that money belongs to the contract. It doesn't belong to you, your broker, the buyer, or the seller anymore. It belongs to the contract until something happens. So you've got to account for that money, and basically what you've got to do is get it to your broker. I said earlier, agent got killed taking one at 9 o'clock at night. Don't do that. Wait till tomorrow. It's not going to get in the bank until tomorrow anyway. Account for the funds. Use reasonable care. You can lose your license just for being incompetent in this business. They don't want you out there helping people if you don't know what you're doing. So that's actually a violation of real estate law. Disclosure of material facts. We went over this last night. Well, what may be material to one, not to the next. But if it's a material fact that it's going to affect someone's decision to buy or not buy, you need to get it on out there in the open. Don't do all this work and get to the closing table and they say, I can't remember if it had a garage or not. You said it did. Oh, does it? I don't know. That'd be a material fact. A lot of things are material facts. The big one is schools. I've harped on that before, but that's where most of the decisions are made. It's about school systems. Answer the questions truthfully. Now, you also must transmit all offers in a timely manner. That doesn't mean wait because I know I got another offer coming in and I'm just going to hold this one until I get that one, and then I may give them that one first because it's going to be for my client. And I'll get a MEOP. MEOP means meat gets both sides. And everybody wants a MEOP commission, but sometimes you can't cheat to get it. You need to keep the paper flowing. And let's just say you are a flipper and you bought this house in your LLC's name, but you own the LLC. Don't you think that would affect their decision knowing that you own this house? Yeah, they're going to think, what else do I need to know? I probably need to ask some more pointed questions because you're not going to tell me the things that are wrong with it because you only have to tell health and safety. So you've got to disclose if you've got any kind of interest in the deal, buyer or selling, you've got to let them know. Now, as this transaction broker, you can, the person you met at the grocery store line, you can go show them a house without having any other kind of agreement with them. Just, I'll meet you over there and let you in. You can also give them information about financing. Not real deep. We're not mortgage brokers. We kind of know how it works. We know how the different mortgages work. I try to stay in a simple zone with financing. I say, for every $5 that you finance, for every $1,000 that you finance, it's going to cost you about $5 a month on a 30-year amortized loan. Okay, what does that mean? Well, if you got a $100,000 loan, it's going to cost you about $500 a month. They want you to make $500 a week to qualify for that loan. Remember our ratios, 28, 36%? Well, 28% is close enough to 1 week's pay. So keep it simple for them. And they say, okay, 500 I can make, let's look at $200,000 houses. Okay, you didn't have to ask them how much they made. Give me all your numbers, your tax returns and all that. Just keep it simple. They don't even know you yet. They don't know if they like you. But if you can just give them simple things like that, you kind of relax them and they say, okay, what else are you going to tell me that I need to know? And you can tell them other things. You can help them make that offer. You don't have to have agency with them to write a contract. You just have to have a license. Remember, barn sale. Creating agency must be in writing to create that agency relationship. It's a special, fiduciary, high trust. You've got to put them ahead of your wants and needs. You really want to sell them a $300,000 house that's got 5% commission on it. That's what you really want to sell them. But they only qualify for a $100,000 house, and the only ones you can find around here got 2% on them. Well, let's go ahead and show them that one, make the sale, get the check, and move on to the next one. You can't just wait on the big deal. You're waiting on the big deal to happen, you're probably not going to last. It's not going to work. I got that. Common law, statutory law. That's what agency's governed by. Now, we did transaction broker. Let's move to agency. We have the same duties that we had to everyone, plus now, got to salute the colonel. And that's the COL. It's confidentiality, obedience, and loyalty that you owe them if you move to the agent role. An agent role, you say, well, what was really different there? Well, now they can say, tell me more about the schools. Well, my kids haven't been in, my baby's 38 years old. I don't know anything about schools. But there's this thing called the internet. That you can go on the internet, and there's a site called Great Schools, I think .com, and you can go there and it'll tell you everything about every school, whether it's got a failing grade or excellent grades. They'll tell you everything you want to know. But if they ask you, tell me about the schools, say here's where we can get that information. I can help you with that. Where if you're a transaction broker, you're really starting to advise them now. Well, this school's a little better than this one. You may be crossing that line, so be careful on that. Okay, we're ready to do the buyer agency agreement now. That's where we're going to create agency with this buyer that we just met. They're just someone we've met now. We have no relationship with them. But we want to create a relationship with them so we'll get paid and they'll work with us. That's what a buyer agency agreement does. It says you're going to work with me exclusively. Just like when you list a property for sale, the seller signs a exclusive agency right to sell. Well, that's what they're saying. I'm not going to work with any other agents. I'm working with you. Anybody brings me a buyer, you get paid. Buyer agency works the same way. You're creating a payment with them. They're saying, I'm not going to work with anybody else. And if I buy a house during the period that we got an agreement, remember we have to have a start and finish date on the listing agreement. Well, buyer agreement has got an expiration date on it as well. So if I find you what you're looking for during this period, and if I'm taking care of you by in contact, then I'm going to get paid. Even if you wander off over here and buy from a for sale by owner, I still get paid. Isn't that wonderful? If you don't take care of them, though, you kind of break that right to collect the money. Like you won't return their phone calls. You're not doing anything. You call them 2 weeks later. Well, did you find anything yet? Well, they may have found another agent by now, so you're not going to get paid. But what the buyer's agency does, it gives you the ability to get paid, the right to get paid if you're doing your work. They're saying they're going to use you. Now, what it does with the for sale by owner, you still get paid. You're going to write, let's see, I believe we've got one, well, no. There's that recap form again. Wow. I think we've seen that enough. How many times have y'all seen that form in the last, what, how long have we been together? We've been about 12 weeks now. So let's just move on through that. Y'all seen that enough. Here's our buyer agency agreement. Remember, it's a contract. You got to have the stuff that's in a contract. Who, what, when, where, why, how much, all that kind of stuff. And there you're just saying, okay, we're looking for a residential property, and we're looking in a certain location about this price range, and we need it by end of January. Okay? We've set our parameters, and then time. It's got to have a window, and after it's over, then the contract it's expired. Condition of the property, necessity of inspection. Well, Alabama's buyer beware state. You need to kind of give them a little heads up. You need to ask the right questions to get the right answers. You can't just say, is the house in generally good condition? Yeah, pretty much. If you're going to have the limited consensual dual agency, we got one of those in a couple of pages, but you may have listings and you've got buyers too. It's a good idea to go ahead and get the dual agency in here, just in case you're going to show them one of your properties. This creates agency system right at the top. This is front page. Second page, there's 2 pages. Oh my, the fee. That's what we want to know about, the fee. Purchase and exchange, that's the one you're going to be dealing with. The other 2 is an option contract or a lease. You're going to be using this to help someone buy a property. Maybe exchange. It's rare you'll ever do an exchange, but it's just going to be buying and selling. So here you've established the relationship. You're going to be their agent. Now, do you want to get paid? Yes, you do. You see it's blank there. Oh, I can just put whatever I want? Well, not really. But what I'm seeing a pattern that's developing here is some people want more. And they will put in here that you're going to pay me 5% or 3% or 6%, whatever you think you can get. My wife thinks we should get 3% on everything. I said, but it's a $700,000 house. They're not going to pay you 3%. She said, well, then I wouldn't do it. Oh, yes, you will. You may say, I'm good with 2.5%. I'm good with 2%. Whatever you're good with, you put that up in there in the percentage. Or if you want a flat number, you may even say, okay, I'm going to be working with us before we go there. You can put a flat number like 3,000, 2,000, 10,000. If they say okay, then they're going to sign it down here saying if they buy something, you're going to get paid. This is what you get around the for sale by owners with. Because the for sale by owners, normally that's what's called an open listing, to where they're saying, whoever brings me a buyer, I'll pay you. Well, they may say, I'll pay you $500, or I'll pay you 1% or 2%. They may not be willing to pay you 3%. That's their goal anyway, is to cut the commission out. So they're going to offer as little as they can. Let's just say they're offering a 2% commission. It'll say down the bottom of their sign, for sale by owner, down the bottom it'll say, agents welcome. That's giving you a signal that they will pay a commission. Doesn't say how much. You've got to go to that seller, for sale by owner, and say, okay, I have a buyer. What are you offering as a commission? And you'll say $500. And you'll say, okay. Can we show the house? And you'll say, okay. And your buyer loves it. They want to make an offer on it. You've got this saying they're going to pay you, say, 3%. You read on there? 3% of the purchase price. All right, the house is $100,000. You should get $3,000 for doing that deal. Well, the seller, for sale by owner, what do you offer? $500? Okay, that'll be a $500 credit from him. But your buyer's going to have to get their checkbook out and write a check for $2,500. Oh, that's how that works. Now, I've also seen more of agents saying, we want an administrative fee as well. Some of them it's $200, some of them it's $700. I don't think that's good. I don't think it's fair, proper. I don't like it. But it's the business model, some people, and this is where you would put that. That the buyers, the buyer is also going to pay a $700 administrative fee. Now think about administrative fees, they can't be to you. They've got to be made out to the company. I went to a real estate commission hearing with a girl that had done a deal and told the buyer, said, okay, well, I'm going to need an earnest money check for $1,000 and I need an administrative fee for $500 and make that check to me. Whew. Well, you know the story. Well, I wouldn't be telling the story. She wasn't sitting in front of the real estate commission. They did not like that a little bit. They took her license. it's okay to get the $500 fee, but all the money, who's it got to go through? The brokerage. So if you want to ask for another fee here, you can, but make it out to the broker. All right, so we can say 3%, or we say $5,000. You can put whatever you can put here. If they're going to come into town and say, I want you to help me look for houses this week. I'm going to be in town all week long. And I've got a list down here. I've narrowed it down to 30 houses. Okay. You want me to go up to 30 houses this week? It's going to take pretty much the whole week. Tell you what I'll do. I want $1,000 up front as a buyer agency retainer. And if you don't buy anything this week, I get the $1,000. If you do buy, then that $1,000 will be deducted from the commission. Think that's fair? You're gonna work, you're gonna spend all, and you know they're gonna want you to take them to lunch every day. May have the kids with them too. You can spend $1,000 at McDonald's this week. So cover yourself. Don't just jump out there and say, okay, everybody come on, take advantage of me. That's what this gets around, is people taking advantage of you. Payment by third parties, this addresses that if you, whatever up here is, you're getting paid, this says, okay, if the seller is paying something, that this all shakes out and adjusts. We're not paying you the commission plus this money. Okay, exclusive affiliated business arrangement. You have to disclose this as well now. This will also be in the contract that says if you have affiliated, that means businesses that are part of your business or you're getting money off of, like let's just say we were a one-stop shop and we do brokerage, we do homeowners insurance, we do mortgages, and we've got a part interest in a title company. And my brother's a lawyer. And probably can't get any money there because that'd just be a rebate or referral there. Can't do that, but these others are affiliated. You either own the company or own part of it. You've got to disclose it. And it would be, okay, if you use ABC Mortgage Company, which we own part of, then we're going to get a cut. You don't have to tell them how much, just let them know. We're involved in a lot of different ways here.
So is that all businesses or just businesses that they may want to
yes.
Interact with?
As part of this deal. If we're the brokerage and we've got the mortgage company and the title company and
I got you. Yeah.
we've got all these other services and we're going to say, why don't you use our mortgage company? And I shouldn't say that because I don't like saying, why don't you use? I think you should say it positively. If you use our mortgage company, Now, why don't you? Because they can think of a million reasons why they shouldn't. But just, if you tell somebody to do something, they're more likely to do it. Then you say, why don't you do this? Just get a little sidetrack there. All right, this is our whole agreement right here, but it protects you and your commission. Gives you agency with them too, so you kind of got to step your game up a little bit. Do a little more work. Can't just say, well, good luck. I got this now. You buy anything in the next 90 days, I'm covered. Go out there and talk to some of these other agents. No, you got to still work with them. Dual agency, we did this last night, but if you've got the listing, chances are you're going to want a dual agency in your package. So if you do have a buyer, and here you're picking up a buyer now, well, do you want to show them your listing too? Of course you do. So you need to either be transaction with them, but no, you just signed a buyer agency agreement. So now you've got agency with them too. And you've got agency with the seller. And when you did your listing presentation and package, you had the seller sign this at that time. So now you can say, okay, if we show you this house over here, we need to have this form there as well. And then you explain to them, hand or arm's length. We can't tell them anything to hurt you or tell them anything to hurt you. We got a lot of stuff that buyers just don't know. I mean, there's more they don't know than they do know, but they think they know. You'll deal with know-it-alls, and they know it all. But when it gets into real estate, they say, well, what's the difference between a home inspection and a home warranty, and home insurance, and a home inspection? I don't know that. I know everything else. But now, okay, well, when we have what's called buyer consultation, you'll bring them into the office. You're better off bringing people into the office for your own safety. Mm-hmm. Because if they have been into your office, they're less likely to harm you. Mm-hmm. Especially if you get a copy of their driver's license while they're here. Mm-hmm. Now you know who they are. And there's cameras everywhere. Mm-hmm. They walked into the office, they don't know, oh, there's one right there. Mm-hmm. Now you got a picture of them. You're going to be safer if you'll bring them into the office, sit them down at the conference table, and you're going to pull this form out. Here's the things we need to talk about so we know what's going on as we move forward. First one, home inspection. Talk about it. Next one, home warranty. Talk about it. Explain to them what it is, why they might need it. Absolutely why they need the home inspection. Gonna move on down through here. Deadlines, as is. What does that mean, as is? Well, in Alabama, that means as is, as is. You bought it just as it is, where it is, with all its warts and scars and problems. You bought it. It bars all fraud claims too if you sell something as is. They can't come back later on and say, well, why didn't you tell me about the termites? Well, it's as is. I really don't have to tell you anything except health and safety. Termites, I'd either one of those. I'd have to tell you about the lead-based paint still, if it's prior to 78, but it kind of takes a lot of stuff off of you. This form is 3 pages long. I think there are like 30 items, 25 or 30 items on here, that it's better for us to go ahead and talk about this now. And you understand what this process is all about before we get on down the road a little bit and you say, well, I don't understand this home inspection. Why do I need that? Well, you should have covered that in your initial consultation. What says, I think it said, no, it doesn't say consultation. Should. Because that's what you're doing. You're helping them understand. Here's where we're going. Here's how we're going to get there. So several pages on this. They actually incorporated, our new contract's got about 2 extra pages in it to where this was such an issue that they put this in the contract now. A bunch of these things. Home inspection, it's in the contract. Do you want one? Why not? Well, Uncle Henry knows all about houses. He's going to come look at it. Well, okay. But we're going to move. Well, I got some more over there. Final walkthrough. That's the one you bought the house. It looks just like this. On your way to closing, you need to walk back through that house and look at it again. Has somebody moved in? Uh-oh, we got a problem. Is it torn up now? The HVAC's been stolen. The plumbing's stolen. That was a big deal about 5 years ago. You turn your back on a house and somebody'd steal all the copper. It's not going to be cheap to put that copper back in. So you're going to do a walkthrough on your way to closing, make sure it's just like it was when you bought it. And you're okay. Vendor, mold, Chinese drywall. Megan, we're going to talk some more about this later on, because this is the kind of stuff that you need to be talking about with your buyer. Another 3 pages of it. 21 items on here. You really they need to know. Earnest money, what's that? What happens when I write you a check for $1,000 for earnest money? What happens to that money? Who gets that? You'd be shocked how many people don't understand that. Where'd that money go? Did you go to Biloxi? No, no it didn't. Here's the solar disclosure statement. This is not required in Alabama. You know, we're a buyer beware state, so there's no solar disclosure. But the Real Estate Commission has one on their site. This is it. They've got it available for us if we want to use it. So it says condition report, and it says owner has occupied the property, or no, yes or no. And then you go down there and you start asking them pointed questions. Tell me, environmental issues built before 1978? Yeah. Okay, then we need to deal with the lead-based paint issues. What else we need? Systems. Do you know of existing problems? Isn't that a direct question? Mm-hmm. Do you know? Plumbing issues, electrical, any of these things. I mean, it gets everything you really need to think about asking them. Here you can just lay the form in front of them and say, tell me about these things. Now, they don't have to. That's the thing, Alabama, buyer beware. You can give this to them. They're not required to fill it out. Many states, they are. They got to fill this out when they do the listing. And this becomes part of the listing. Part of, you know, this, it's legally. I told you there was no problem with this. But now, yeah, there is. You should have known that. Roof. How old's the roof? How long y'all think roofs last? 20, 25 years? Maybe 30 if you're lucky.
Maybe.
You can look at a roof and you don't know if it's leaking or not. But there's certain things you can look at that roof and there are problems that just pop up, like the tabs should be flat. If they're curled up, maybe there's a problem here. Well, curling up shingles like that means there's too much heat in the attic and it's causing these things to wilt. So there's a clue right there. We got a problem that maybe not the roof. The roof's the problem, but there's a deeper problem that we need to address. Okay, is there not any ventilation in the attic? Maybe if we had a fan, some kind of attic fan, turbines, vents, something to get the heat out of here, because that same heat that's affecting the roof is probably affecting you down here living in the house. So little things like that will give you a clue, but they can tell you, how old's the roof? Well, we just replaced it last year because all the shingles were turned up. We never figured out why that was happening. Okay. This gives you clues, but this also gives you pointed information for you to dig deeper. Tell me more about this. Direct question. Now they got to answer that. So this is, you know, it wasn't that long. It's like 3 pages. Give it to them if you think you really need to. We've done this maybe once or twice. One of the sellers said, no, I'm not filling it out. Well, let's move on to the next house, because you're probably trying to hide stuff from us. So we just not even going to deal with you. Another one, filled out everything. We looked at it and said, yeah, we had more going on there than we thought. But they were honest.
Do we give them that in front of the buyer?
Well, you're working for the buyer tonight. Last night we were working for the seller. You're not going to give this to the seller because you don't want to know all those things. You're the seller agent. If you know these things, you know they're termites. They told you. Remember last night we had a hole in the floor here from termites? There the seller told you, yeah, I wasn't going to tell anybody about the termites, but now that you've asked, yeah, we got it. Now you know. This is another reason you, as the listing agent, you don't go on the inspection. You'll meet the inspector there. If he doesn't, most of them have got the electronic key and they can get on in. But if you've got to go open the door and let them in, let them alone. Don't go in there with them and start, well, what all you see wrong in here? No, because once you know, what have you got to do with that knowledge? Pass it on. So the rule is, don't go on the inspection if you're the listing agent. Now, other side, tonight we're buyer's agents. You think it'd be a good idea for you to go on that one? Aren't you their agent, representing them? They ask you, can you go on the inspection? And just ask him some stuff. Ask him about that little low spot in the floor over there. See what he thinks. Isn't that a lawful instruction for you? Yes, that's a lawful instruction. Go on the inspection with him. And then he'll tell you, well, that's really nothing. That's just where the house is settled. That's, you know, all of them this age do that. Okay, well, it kind of puts you where you can tell the buyer, here's what he said. He's also probably going to note that in his report. They do really good on pictures, and they'll give you a narrative probably 30, 40 pages long on everything that's going on with that house. Then there'll be a summary. Here are the major things that really need attention. It'll be a little short list. That's what the buyer is going to give you as the buyer's agent. So, these are the things we want fixed. Or the alternative to that, we'll take a discount. That's really what they're after most of the time. They'd rather have the discount and not worry about fixing these things. That wasn't that big of a problem to them. They hadn't even noticed it. Inspector found it. That gives them ammunition to shoot your price. So they will give you a summary. That's all the listing agent ever wants. The listing agent does not want that home inspector's report. Because remember, with all the stuff that's wrong with the house, so you really don't want all that in your head now. All you want is this little short list of things that need to be fixed. Needs a new roof. Needs a HVAC serviced. Need the septic tank cleaned. Okay, these are just specific things. We'll either do them or we won't. And that's not your decision, that's the seller's decision. He said, well, I just had the HVAC service last month. Here's the receipt. Okay. That's done. Mark it off the list. Septic tank cleaning. Well, here's the deal on septic tank. You're representing the buyer. This house has got a septic tank. I want it cleaned and inspected. Some of these things 30, 40, 50 years old. Used to, they built them out of concrete, those little cinder blocks. They just pour a little concrete down there and build this thing with cinder blocks. Now they're reinforced concrete, concrete top on it. Well, what if somebody been driving a car over that and now that's cracked? Well, now it's time to find out. Not the first time when you move in that night and you flush the toilet and it won't flush. Or you see I look out in the backyard, the grass is really, really green right out there in that one little spot. Wonder what's going on there. Okay, well, septic tank. This is the stuff, these kind of questions will uncover that for you. And you are representing this buyer. It's your job to protect them. Remember our goal? Protect the public. That's your job here now. More stuff here. Water. We got well water. All the houses we've sold, we've never sold one with a well. You get out in the country, that's probably all you do sell. Now we got issues with well water. Is it, let's see, what's that stuff they're using? Fracking. Are they fracking around here? If they're fracking around here, there may be bad chemicals in this water now. There's some little, I heard today on the Google that there was some city that their well water, the cities, that's where they get their wells, their water, it was contaminated with human and cattle feces in their well water.
Wow.
So what did the city do? They put out an order that no one is to talk about this.
Wow.
That's what they said. You cannot tell anybody this.
Oh, no.
Sound kind of like Flint, Michigan.
Mhm.
Let's don't tell anybody, maybe it'll go away. No, it's not going to go away. You got well water, get it tested. Find out, is there bad stuff down in here? Maybe, maybe not. Sewer system, got that. Construction, we talked about that already. Homeowner associations, is it under the rules of one? If so, I need to see all the covenants and restrictions that go along with what we can and cannot do here. Little miscellaneous stuff down there. Are you aware of any existing or threatening legal action affecting this property? Well, the reason we're selling it, they're fixing to condemn it. They're going to take it for a park, and we're trying to get out before that happens. It may be 10 years before they take it, but wait a minute. That's why you're asking these kind of questions, because they would have never told you that. And there's the bottom line. Anything else you want to tell me? Probably not. Got everything. I've already lost this sale. But you're working for the buyer. This is how you're going to uncover things that they need to know. The Realtor Association has got lots and lots of articles and links to different things for you to learn. To anything you want to know about this business, there's an article from these people. You see how that's capitalized? That's there should be a little registered trademark. Should be a little R right there, because that is always capitalized with them. That's their trademark. I just said this earlier. I think before we started class, you got 2 of these. One of these, let them do the talking. They want to talk anyway. They do. They want to tell you everything. You will be surprised the stuff you'll learn about people in this business. They just want to tell somebody their story. Here's when we bought the house, and they'll tell you everything they've done to it, and you'll learn. Works the same way with your buyers. They'll tell you everything if you just ask them open-ended questions. Tell me what you're really looking for. And keep digging down. Well, what does that mean to you? If you had a 2-car garage, what does that mean to you? Well, safety and that, okay, is safety an issue? What does that mean to you? Keep digging down. They're going to give you something. Take it and work with it, because you're eventually going to find their hot button issue. Their hot button issue may be, I don't know, something to do with the garage. They just don't feel safe getting out at the street and walking in at night because they get off at 2 o'clock in the morning. They just don't feel safe. You know, I've got 4 guns on me now, but I still don't feel safe. Well, the garage is going to be their hot button issue. If tell you what, your what's that called? The gift for them when they move in the house, the housewarming gift. Yeah, housewarming gift. Your housewarming gift for them may be an electric garage door opener. If they told you this much about it, they'll remember that. Wow, they found me a house with a garage and then bought me a door opener so I could get in at 2 o'clock at night. Keep digging down. Find out what they're really after. Misrepresentation to the lender. We're into financing now. Rule number 21. Y'all, I know y'all memorized all these rules back in pre-license. There were about 30 of them. This is Rule 20. Y'all probably gone to sleep by the time you got to 21. 21 says misrepresentation or failing to disclose to any lender, guaranteeing agents, or any other interested party the true terms of the sale. you can't have side agreements. It's okay to give them a garage door opener as a housewarming gift. That's okay. But if you're giving them $1,000 for them to use as a down payment to buy this house, that's not okay if you're keeping it secret. As long as you disclose it and the money changes hands at or before closing, you're okay. But the lender needs to know, because remember we talked about ratios, your income to payment ratio? It doesn't take much to knock that out to where you're not qualified for the loan. That $1,000 that you gave them, because if they didn't have enough money to put the down payment down, there are other issues with money, credit, other things that probably gonna mess it up anyway. But you can't hide stuff like that from the lender. Regulation Z. Y'all remember that one? Regulation Z says you got to tell them the true terms of the loan. Remember we had things like APR, the amount of the payments, the total amount of the payments, the total amount of the interest. We had a lot of those things that you've got to disclose. This is lender-related stuff. They have to do this. You don't get into this, but you've got to know that it had to be done. It's called a good faith estimates, what they're going to disclose all this in. You're going to have a $100,000 mortgage, and your payments are going to be $530 a month for 30 years, and the interest rate is 4.75. The interest that you're going to pay on this over the lifetime is, $100,000 in addition to the principal you pay. That's got to tell them everything. That's what Regulation Z is all about. We talked in pre-license about how these things work. This was the Truth in Lending Act. Acts are passed by the governing bodies like the legislatures. This is a federal law, but they pass the Truth in Lending Act and they enforce it with regulations. Z is the one that says you've got to disclose these things, and this is on a primary residence first mortgage. That's what it applies to. Financing. Y'all know all about financing. Y'all were tested on financing not that long ago. Let's see if you remember what the down payment is on a VA loan. How much have you got to put down? Nothing. That's 100% loan. Loan to value, 100%. Now there are going to be other fees though, because this is risky loaning somebody 100%. Now they're going to want some upfront money, 1.5 up to about 3 points right now, depending on whether you've used the loan before. Only a veteran can get this loan, or their spouse. Next one down the line, if they got just a little bit of money to put down, is a FHA loan. How much have they got to put down there?
Is it 20?
3.5%.
3.5%?
So that's a 96.5% loan to value. That one's also got some upfront fees. They're going to want some money up front, and they're going to want to add 0.5% onto your loan. So if you're getting a loan at 4.5%, your FHA loan will actually be at 5%. And then there are rules that once it gets down to 80%, you can ask them to take that 0.5% off. Or when it gets to 79, they're required to take it off. Next one down is the conventional. Conventional conforming is going to be 20% down. So it's 80% loan to value. That one doesn't have fees or extra interest on it, because you got a lot of skin in the game. If you get foreclosed on 2, 3, 5 years down the road, they started out with 20% cushion. Now it may be 25 because the house has gone up in value unless you let it torn it up, but there are no extra fees on that. The conventional loan you can get at a higher loan to value. You can get I think 100% conventional loan. credit's probably gonna have to be really good. And these loans depend on credit. The interest rate that you get will depend on credit. Usually someone's getting a conventional 80% loan, they've saved money. If they got 20%, you know. But what if they don't? Well, let's go ahead and get that 80% loan without any of the fees, and then worry about the 20%. We may have 10% in cash, or in our, what's it called, retirement account. There may be some way you can get some more money. You still need some more money. You can go to the seller and say, hey, Mr. Seller, can you help me out here? I don't have this last $10,000. Will you hold a $10,000 note for me for 5, 6, 7 years? And he'll say, how about 10%, 5 years? And you'll probably say, okay. That's it. That's what's going to happen. There's a mortgage is just, I used to think it's pretty straightforward. No, everything is like this. In pre-license, we talked about points and adding your closing costs to the loan through points. Or you can pay points to bring your interest rate down. You can do a lot of things with a mortgage. First thing you got to do with your buyer, first question you really should ask them is, have you talked to a mortgage company? And they say, no. You need to get them with one. You may have one that you know. We have them on our website, a couple of them on there that they can go and there's like automatic stuff. They can just click in numbers and know, okay, I can afford a $150,000 house. Okay, get qualified. We're gonna get qualified. I think that's the next one. Oh, this is one other loan. USDA, that's the Department of Agricultural Loans. These are for properties that are in rural areas. You can't get a USDA loan here in Hoover or anywhere around here. But you get further and further south, the less population, and I don't know, different ones are going to have different rules on the population. They're trying to make these areas grow. So they'll give you a loan there at a better rate, 100%, to get you down there. Remember 40 acres and a mule? Well, this is the new version of it. They'll get you on down there. This is what you got to do with your buyer over here. You ready? You said, if you talk to a mortgage company and they say, no. Okay, let's get you with one. The first thing they're going to do is get a pre-approval. Pre-approval is just worthless. Pre-approval, they called a mortgage company and said, yeah, I make $55,000 a year and I don't have any debt. And yeah, my wife works too. Yeah, she makes she makes a lot of money. She makes $70,000. How much do we need to make? Because that's kind of maybe what they'd be telling them, because none of this is verified yet. They've just told them. Now the mortgage company is going to say, we need for you to come on in or fill it out online, but you're going to have to do an application. And there's going to be a couple of little fees they're going to have to pay there for a credit check, and I don't know what other kind of little fees, but they're going to have little fees there to get a little commitment out of them. Now they've given them some forms. Oh, do you want to see my income tax form? Well, let me see if I can find it. Oh, you made $43,000 last year. And your wife's been unemployed for 6 months. She used to make that. And you said you didn't have any debt? You got judgments against you. That's why you don't have any debt. You just quit paying it. You're probably not going to get to there. Because pre-qualified means that they have got your information. They have verified it. They've looked at your tax returns. They've called where you work. Do they really work there? How much do they make? What are their hours? They're going to verify. They're going to know more about you. Our first loan we got they called me and said, well, you were late on a car payment 3 years ago. Tell us more about that. Really? It was an FHA loan. And I'm going to give y'all a warning here. It was called a 245 loan. That's where you start out and you're not paying the whole payment. You're actually paying less than you should be paying. All that interest is loading on there. Next year it's going to go up, I think, 5%, and it goes up about 5% for like 7 years. Well, they qualify you on this first year's payment, which is really, you really weren't qualified for that. I wasn't. Next year it was up 5%. I certainly wasn't. I wasn't qualified for that either. Next year it was up more and more and more. By the time we got to the end, I had to get a second mortgage just to keep making the payments on the first mortgage. Don't ever talk somebody into getting an FHA 245 loan just based on my experience. It was awful. It was like going out in the ocean and the water just keep getting deeper and deeper. So pre-qualify is what you want. They verified the information. They say, okay, based on what we've got right here, they're qualified for a $115,000 loan. Okay, we got that much. Now we can go out and look at $115,000. We don't need to be looking at $150,000 houses unless they got, what, $35,000 in the pocket. We need to be looking right down here, probably up to maybe $120,000. That's about all you want to go. You get them up in the 130s, oh, they like this one, but they can't buy it. Now they're disappointed, and they may just quit looking. So show them what they can afford. Pre-qualified is a step on our way. We got pre-approval, then pre-qual, and then it goes into the underwriters. That's people that are working off in an office somewhere in Milwaukee, or they're not around here, but they're sitting up there and they got another file on the desk, and they're verifying everything again. And then finally they say, okay, everything is here, everything's in place, you're cleared to close. That's what they call it. You are cleared to close. So the money will be at the closing table when you get there. Unless you quit your job or go out and buy all the furniture for the new house, and that shows up in your credit report, and now it's blown your ratios out. Now, and then they run a credit report on you the day of closing to make sure you haven't done this stuff, you haven't filed bankruptcy, you haven't done things that's going to hurt them. Because who they interested in? Them. And protecting them. So they're going to look at you under a microscope. You've got to be, I don't know how people get loans. I really don't. Since we're on, I'm just looking at the clock here. We need to take a break. Let's pick back up here with caveat emptor. We're working for our buyer tonight. So we've got to remember that Alabama is a buyer beware state. The seller doesn't have to tell anything that's not health and safety related. They're supposed to disclose that, but the sellers don't know they have to. So sometimes we're going to have to ask some direct questions to get to the bottom of what we're trying to find. Now, caveat emptor does not apply to certain things. It's written on our hand. We did this last night. It's still written on there. It's still there. H, hand, health and safety. You've got to disclose that. Assumption of duty. That's what we're doing here with our buyer. We're assuming the duty of an agent. So we're going to protect them more. Due diligence, put them before us, all those kind of things. Next thing is new construction. That's got a warranty on it, so you can just call the builder afterwards. Where you buy a normal used house, you just can't call the owner next week and say, hey, the toilet won't flush. What are you going to do about it? Well, they're probably going to laugh. I've been doing that to me for the last 10 years. I've had plumbers out here every year. And they keep telling me it's going to be $14,000 to put a new line out through the backyard to the sewer. That's why we sold the house. Ha ha ha! Another was direct question. Well, had you filled that form out, it asked about plumbing. And then you would have more information to say, oh, tell me about these plumber trips out here every year. Tell me more about that. That's why you did it. This is what happens, written on your hand. They don't have to tell you unless you ask them. And that's what our seller disclosure form was, that we asked them, tell me about these things. Direct questions. Not just, is the house in pretty good shape? Yeah, pretty good shape. Except for that sewer issue. It's going to cost $14,000. On disclosing these known facts, you've got a couple of things there. One is latent defect. Latent means it's hidden. Now, if the seller knows about a hidden defect that affects health and safety, they're supposed to talk about it. They're supposed to tell you. If you know about it, the seller told you, the termites have, really worked on the wood under here. Don't step on that. Now, the seller has told you. And if you are buyer's agent over here, you've got to tell immediately. Your buyer, hey, there's an issue right here with termites. They may be everywhere. And they're going to say, well, let's look at something else. I don't want to get into that. Grandma had termites in their house and it cost them everything. All right, so we got unknown, latent, and then you have one that's one that is easily seen. That's patent. Patent, the termites have actually eaten through the carpet, and you can see the hole down through there. You don't have to disclose that, because Alabama, buyer beware, they're supposed to walk through the house or have an inspector go through there. That's going to be easily observed by anybody that sees it. Sometimes you're going to get some confidential information. One of those things may be AIDS. The person that lives in this house now, or did live in this house, has AIDS or died of AIDS. They died in this house of AIDS. Don't you even think about telling anybody that. The person that has AIDS is protected under fair housing, handicap status. Even after they're dead and gone, they're still protected. You tell them, oh yeah, they died here of AIDS. First thing they're going to say, what else you got? People are afraid of it. They don't know.
Yeah.
So even if you know, you're not allowed to tell it. Now, it doesn't count for other kinds of death. Grandma might have died in here 20 years ago. Well, there was a death in the house. What's the difference between that one and that one? This one I can talk about. Grandma was 97 years old. She died in her sleep right over here. There's no ghost. Nobody's ever said anything about a ghost in here. But if we do have to go and talk about ghosts, it's best to go ahead and talk about it up front before they start getting in love with a house and then find out there was a murder-suicide in here 2 years ago and there's still blood stains on the carpet. Well, it's going to come up. So it's best that you go ahead and get it out in the open. We talked about agent interest. You've got to disclose any of your family interests too. Lead-based paint. Y'all know anything about lead-based paint yet? Okay. Neurotoxin gets in your brain, doesn't get out. Houses prior to 78, they actually quit using lead-based paint several years before that, but the law took effect in 78, and you were not allowed to use it after that. There are some landlords that probably still had some, and they were still painting their houses right up to 77, but you weren't supposed to use it after 78. The lead-based paint, we've talked about this enough in 2 or 3 different classes now that y'all know what lead-based paint is, and you don't want it. Importance of a home inspection. We talked about home inspectors. Home inspectors have had a class that gives them general knowledge about a lot of things. They're not deep into anything. Some of them may have come out of a specialty, like they were an HVAC contractor, and they got tired of working on heating and air units every day, all day long. They said, I want some variety. So they became a home inspector. They're really good on the HVAC. They may look at that a little closer than a normal inspector would, but then he doesn't know anything about roofs or water heaters, or that's not his wheelhouse. So your home inspector is going to give a surface look at things. You may be able to give about the same surface look, but he's going to look and he sees, like, he may notice around this window that there's a little gap between the window and the sheetrock. He's going to say, I wonder what's going on there. You might want to look at that. You might want to get a contractor to come look at that, because I know something's going on there. There's some reason this casing is off from the wall. Maybe he'll fix it with some nails, but you want to get somebody that actually knows about this kind of stuff to look at it. Same thing on the roof. He's going to look up on the roof and he's going to say, whoa, there's a bunch of missing shingles up there. You might want to get a roofing contractor to go up there and look, because he's not going on the roof to begin with. Home inspectors are going to put their selfie stick and their camera, and they're going to look up there, and they're going to look in the gutter, and they're going to look around the valleys, and maybe around the chimney, because that's where you have issues with roofs and leaks. It's where the chimney's there and the roof comes down to it like here. Well, there's a piece of metal in here that the water is going to hit this year after year after year after year after year after year. You think eventually it's going to rust and water's going to come through. Well, he may look at that, and if he sees something, he's going to say, get a roofing guy to come up here and look at this. That's why you hired him, because you don't want to get on the roof. You wouldn't know what you're looking for anyway. We actually had a tenant today call us or text us and said, the gutters need cleaning out. You want me to do it? No, absolutely not. Don't you dare get on that roof. Well, he's the same way. He said, I'm not getting on the roof. I know how to look at this stuff, but I'm going to give you a really good report, and anything I see, you might want to follow up on that. If I'm suspicious of it, and I've looked at hundreds of houses now, you need to look at it. Home inspection. Now, some of them are going to say, well, I really don't need a home inspection. So what do you want to do then? You want to get one of these. It's a waiver of the home inspection. Because you told them, buyers then, well, we don't have the $400 to get the home inspection. Well, I'm going to let you sign one of these waivers saying, I told you, and you didn't do it. Because later on, when you find out the roof's leaking up here, because the seller didn't have to tell you the roof was leaking, that's not health and safety. But he knew it was leaking. The inspector suspected it, or would have suspected it, but your buyer said, no, I don't want one. Well, you get this, have this in your file, because I guarantee you, first time it rains, you buyers in there, and water's coming down the front side of the fireplace. They're going to say, I didn't know we had a waterfall in here. That's a nice feature. Might want to get some buckets. Because they're going to call you and say, did you know the roof leaks? Did you? No. You never thought to ask the seller if the roof leaks. And then you remember the seller disclosure form. I wonder if I maybe should have given them one of those. And then I would have known the roof leaks. Then we could have put that on our, when we gave the contract to them, replace roof or repair roof or whatever you want them to do to it. But this is going to get you off the hook, because I told you last night, 70% of the lawsuits are from buyers because they weren't told about something. Here you're just covering your assets.
We read that.
I had to do a thing this morning for YouTube about they've got a new policy on whether the material's suitable for children. And I thought, well, what child's going to be watching this? But it's stuff like language and things like that that they don't want going out there. So I can say assets, and y'all know what I'm talking about, but it's market not suitable for children. HVAC inspection. Some people don't know what that is. We don't want to use jargon, real estate jargon, to people that are not in the real estate business. Your buyer, they may not know what HVAC system is. So you want to say the heating and air conditioning system. You don't need to say, well, that's ventilation as well. Just the heating and air, we need to get that fixed or checked. Common in offers that come to you, the buyer will say, we want the HVAC serviced and inspected. All right, that's pretty common. Going to be $100 or so, maybe 150, but it's going to give them peace of mind. All the pressures are good. The everything, what's it called, the condenser outside, it's clean. The air can flow through it. Everything's good. So we're going to move into this house and we're going to expect the heating and air to work. But don't give them the jargon. EIFS, there's another one. Who knows what EIFS means? I don't. I know it stands for something, but I know it as synthetic stucco. I know EIFS means something. Just EIFS, I'm going to tell you, if you've got a house that your buyer wants to look at, and you look at that house and say, that is really a pretty finish on there. It looks kind of like stucco. Okay, we got a problem right here. These synthetic stuccos look nice, but if they're not installed properly, maybe around this window it wasn't sealed correctly. Now water has been getting in behind the window. Still, this looks good. It's synthetic. It's not going to rot or anything, but everything behind it will. I mean, your studs could be rotted, I mean, all the way down to the plate. You don't know that. They'll have to have, if you've got one of these, you want to have a EIFS inspector check it out. And they'll go in there and I don't know what they do, they can actually do it without having to bore holes in it. They can check it. They maybe have some kind of magic thing they can look through the wall. It's amazing the technology they've got now. But they will look at it and decide there's a problem here or there's not. And then you can get like a bond on it to where if there is a problem, the bond will kick in and pay. But if you want this stuff taken off, and you're probably going to put brick back in its place, you're looking at $50,000. Uh-oh. Your buyer didn't know that, and you didn't know what EIFS was. You said, that's just really pretty. I need to get a picture of one and put in here. Y'all heard about Chinese drywall now. Oh yeah. Ooh. If you got Chinese drywall, you got big problems. There's not a lot of it here. It was more of a period that it was here. Right around when Katrina hit New Orleans, there was a big shortage of sheetrock because they were having to rebuild thousands and thousands of houses. Well, that caused shortages everywhere. When there's a shortage, a new player will step in to supply. Well, they bought it from Chinese companies that were making sheetrock. The sheetrock that they were making had a high concentration of sulfur in it. The sulfur, you can smell it a lot of times. It smells kind of like a rotten egg. You can go in the house that's got this and you can smell the sulfur. You say, uh-oh. But it was a little period. They say some got into the United States as early as right around 2000, but not much. But then right around 2005, 6, 7, right after the hurricane, it just was everywhere. There's certain brands. One of them's called Knof, K-N-O-F, Knopf or something. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a Chinese word. That's one of the brands, but there are other brands because they made it under other names. Same people were making it, but you can get an inspector that specializes in that, and they can go in and they can determine whether this is Chinese drywall. Now, if you've got Chinese drywall in this house, you've got to strip it all out, all of it, because what it does is it causes an interaction with anything metal, which is wiring, like your plumbing, like fixtures, everything that's electrical. This can cause it to rust. Now all the wiring's got to be replaced, fixtures, plumbing. What's left? Well, the studs are still there. They look pretty good, but we're going to start over. There was one community down on Highway 280, the builder down there got a bunch of it. And they pretty much had to strip those houses out and put, new sheetrock in.
Did they sue the Chinese companies?
I'm probably sure they tried, but I doubt was anything ever recovered there. They probably just quit buying from them.
Yeah.
But, they were making it for several companies. They may still be making it, but they've learned not to use the stuff that's got the sulfur in it. And I'm not sure, sheetrock's made out of what? Lime or?
I would think, but I don't know.
It's kind of a chalky stuff, so I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't go to sheetrock school. Oops, wrong button. Wood infestation report. Now, wood infestation report is beyond the termite inspection. Termite inspection is done by someone that's trained in pest control and chemicals and how to get rid of them. They're trained in that. The wood infestation report has to be done by the same licensed type person. So normally, your termite inspection guy will also do the wood infestation report. What it's looking for, your termite guy, he's looking around for signs of termites. And what you see with that, it'll be around windowsills, normally like on the bottom. And you look at the wood and it's not real smooth. It's got kind of like a little bump on it. And it looks kind of like a little tunnel. That's where the termites have tunneled in there. They're just under, they were not coming through the paint. They don't like eating paint, but they love the wood down there. And where they've been, it'll be like little tunnels that you'll see. And you can take your finger or a pen or something and poke in it, and the tunnel just kind of collapses. And that's where the termites are. Well, that's what kind of stuff he's looking for. And he also, doing his wood infestation report, termites actually wood infestation as well. But you got other things that will infest the wood, like other little bugs. They're pine beetles, they're army ants, they're, I don't know what all, mold. Well, in fact, there's lots of things that he's looking for besides the termites. It's another $150 for him to look for these other things. If you want him just to look for the termites, that's going to be about $150. But you want this other, it's going to pretty much double. I thought, that is a really good gig. I like that. You're already there. You're already looking. And it's like, well, you want the wood infestation too? And your termite inspection, if you've got a mortgage, you're going to have a termite inspection and a bond on the house. They're not going to give you the mortgage without it. And a termite inspection, like I said, is about $150. And the bond to transfer it would probably be included in that inspection. Then if you've got to get a new termite bond, it's going to be about $250, just a standard size house. So it's not a big expense, but these expenses add up. Y'all saw that closing statement last night. They add up. Well water, we just talked about that. There are a lot of things that can be in that well water. I remember down where Greystone is, which you think's got the purest water anywhere. $1 million houses should have pure water. Well, before those houses were there, everybody down there had wells, and there's iron down there. The water, you could fill the bathtub up, and it's kind of a reddish brown color. The iron, it just stains the bathtub, the toilet, the sink, everything it touches. But I guess you'd never have an iron deficiency drinking that water. But there are inspectors that can check. You can send the water off and get it checked, because there's more stuff being pumped into the ground now that you might want to get checked. Septic inspection. I see down there it says Wayne Pickles. That's a company we've used several times. They can do it all. They can go inspect it, clean it. If there's problems, they can fix them. They can do the field lines. They can do the main lines going out to the sewer from the house. Sometimes you've got to have that kind of service. So this is about $350 for them to go out there and pump it out and check it and make sure it's good. You'd rather find that out now, because you're going to write that in your offer. We make an offer, we find that it's got a septic tank. I'm always going to put in there seller to clean and inspect septic system. Every time. Because you just don't know. They didn't know they had a septic tank. You're supposed to be cleaning it. We've been here 20 years.
They got some green grass.
Yeah. Grass is always greener on the septic tank. Mold. Oh, this is a new bad one. We just hate getting calls from tenants saying, I think there's mold in the house. Ooh, now we got, because you can't just, used to, you say, well, get you some Clorox, wipe it down, it'll be good. No, it's not. Now you got to send people out there in spacesuits and cut the mold out. I think we had a picture last night of mold. Wasn't last night? One night recently, I've seen a picture of mold there. If you've got mold down there, they've got to clean it, they've got to treat it, and sometimes they'll even have to cut the sheetrock out and replace the sheetrock. Well, you can't just take this mold-infested stuff and put it out on the street with your garbage. It's got to be bagged and triple bagged and taken to a special toxic waste dump. Got ServPro on that. ServPro is probably the best known mold remediation company around here. They do all kind of remediation of fire, flood damage. I think they're saying it's like it never happened. Well, if you got insurance, call them. Radon. We talked about radon. It's a naturally occurring decay of uranium. It's everywhere. And if you built on a slab and your house is like newer, 10 years, 20 years old, it's pretty tight in here and the air's not flowing through it and through the windows like it does in older houses. It wasn't an issue 30, 40 years ago, because the houses just, air would flow through them and blow the radon on out. But with a slab, concrete's going to have a crack in it somewhere, and the radon's going to come up through the crack and get in this well-sealed house. Well, you say that's not a problem. You can't see it, can't smell it, can't taste it, but your lungs can. And it gets in your lungs. It is the second leading cause of lung cancer, is radon. That's pretty significant. I've never known of anybody's died of radon, but it may have been. They may have got lung cancer, and it was because of radon. Because you hear people say, I never smoked. Well, my next thought would be radon or secondhand smoke. This is a new one too. Meth lab. They use all kinds of nasty chemicals to make meth. You can look at me and say, I've probably never made meth. You just kind of look at me and say, he probably never made meth. But I have been in places where they did. And usually it is nasty, nasty, and it smells, and it's got like lye and all kinds of bad stuff. I don't know, they use battery acid. I don't know what all they put in this stuff that people will put it in them. Why don't you just get you some radon? Smoke you some mold. Why go to all the trouble of making this and burning the house?
Yeah.
Because if they've been cooking, I don't think they cook it anymore. I think they just shake it up in a jug nowadays. I don't know why. It's been a while since I made meth. See, you didn't think I knew. You don't know. Don't I look like somebody used meth? Okay. It gets in the walls and the ceilings. Yeah, I don't know what you got to clean this stuff with now, but you're going to have people in like astronaut suits to come in here and scrub this place down. Serpro probably do it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that they'll do. If they've got a meth house, they have people that are trained to go in and do that. Next one is the marijuana grow house. That is not a real problem here. Where we've got this is up north, where it's colder. People will rent a house and then turn it into a marijuana grow house. I mean, right in the middle of a nice subdivision, they'll rent a house. Next thing you know, they're stealing the water, they're stealing the electricity, they're tapping into the lines. Now they've messed up your electrical system, messed up your plumbing system, and all this stuff that's growing, it sticks to the wall like glue. And the humidity's high, and it ruins the sheetrock. Pretty much kind of like getting Chinese drywall if you've got a marijuana grow house. Here the climate is, I've never known of one around here, but I get articles from real estate things that Canada, there are a lot of them up there. We don't have to worry, we're not going to be showing any houses in Canada. But here's another reason, both of these, this one and this one, agent safety. When you go to a house, don't just open the door and walk on in. Bang on the door, let them know you're coming. Open it up. Real estate agent, I'm coming in. I'm armed. Hopefully give them enough time to run on out the back door. We had a couple agents shot over in Inslee in '06. Stumbled over a crack house going to collect rent. It happens. Agent safety, both of these are things that you need to be aware of when you're going into a property. Don't just think everything's wonderful in here. It may not be. Solid property disclosure, we did this one already. Home warranties. Home warranties, that's kind of a new thing in the last few years. They've figured out a way that they can say, okay, we will ensure that these systems work. Your HVAC, your plumbing, not sure what all systems they cover. We've got a pamphlet out here from one of the warranty companies that they tell you, here's what all we cover, here's what we don't cover. They're not covering meth houses and that kind of stuff. They're covering systems that they break down. You can call them and say, my heat doesn't work. All right? They will, if you've bought the warranty, then they will send a service person out there that will check your air, your heating, and figure out what's wrong with it. Right now, we probably had these guys probably had a rash of people calling them in the last week saying my heat doesn't work. All right, well, 2 or 3 reasons the heat may not work. Well, you may not know how to do this stuff. You need to have somebody do it for you. Well, warranty's an excellent thing there because they'll come out and say, well, the heat's not working because your gas pilot light is not lit. Okay, they'll go ahead and light it for you. They charge about $75 to make that service call. But if it's something deeper, like the gas regulator doesn't work, then the warranty's going to kick in and put a new one on there. If it's something else, then they'll fix that. There's a little thing called a thermocoupler that they go out all the time. The thermocoupler is like a little heat sensor that the fire from the pilot light will keep this thing hot, and if it's hot, it'll go back and tell the gas regulator, yes, you can release the gas. Thermocoupler's not working, then the gas regulator doesn't get its signal saying it's okay to let the gas go, so it won't work. Also, your pilot light's what makes the fire to begin with, so it's not coming on. So a lot of things that can go wrong with a gas furnace. All of them are expensive. Get the guy out there and says, well, your gas regulator's out. What do you think that's going to cost? I don't know. He could say $5 or $500. Most people wouldn't know. But if you got the warranty, you just call them and say, my gas heater's not working. Can you come fix it for me? And they'll say, okay, we'll be right out there. So they've got their place. Surveys. Your survey is going to show the boundaries of the property. A survey will show any encroachments on your property or stuff you have maybe encroached on your neighbor's property. It's a good idea if you're buying a house and you see a new fence, or the neighbor's got a new garage and it looks like maybe over on my yard a little bit. Get your survey done, because the buyer, when they move in, if this fence is on their yard, now it's their problem. If it's on their fence is on your yard, now it's the seller's problem to fix that. Their garage is over in your yard. Now's the time to find out, because once you close the deal, and closing means all accounts are closed. Everybody's going home with their check, and don't call anybody about any problems you've got after we leave the closing table. So now the survey is going to show these things. Your title, I think we talked about title here in a minute. Title policy doesn't have a survey. It doesn't. The title people are at the courthouse looking through the records. Here's who everybody's owned this the last 40 years. Okay, everything's good here, but they've never seen the property. They don't know if there's a house on it or a garage on it or a fence on it. That's outside of what they do. So your survey is different from the title or the home inspector. He's not looking at property lines. He may see the fence out there and see it's you know, a 30-year-old privacy fence and it's kind of leaning over like this. Well, he'll probably put that in his report, make a little picture of it, but he doesn't know where the property line is. It's not his job to look at that. There it is, title insurance. They're not looking at the property boundaries. They're looking at ownership transfers, liens, other things that would affect the title. Title insurance, while we're there, title insurance is one of the first things you're going to do once you are under contract. You're going to send the contract and any of the addendums that are with it off to the closing agent. Closing agent in Alabama has to be an attorney. I think it's a good idea to let that attorney pick the title company. Somebody he's got a relationship with, and once they give him the report, he's on top of it. There's a problem. Let him deal with it. We don't do title searches. We don't do surveys. We don't do home inspections. We sell property. Other people have their roles. Let them do them. Title insurance is going to cover things that are wrong with the deed, maybe a forgery, an unrecorded lien against it, a relative that you didn't know about. There are things like that that the title policy is going to cover. Title insurance, as a rule of thumb, about the same cost as homeowners insurance. That's what covers your homeowners, and I think we get to that in a minute. Title insurance, we'll stay on that. Title insurance is gonna be roughly $600 for every $100,000 of coverage that you have. Now, it's a little less than that, but you've got search fees and a letter of the tax, you got other fees that'll lay on top of that. So just as a rule of thumb, $200,000 or $300,000 house, let's just figure $600 per $100,000 of coverage. Now the title is going to be, title insurance policy is two. You've got one for the lender and then one for the owner. Let's just say it's just an owner's policy. You paid cash for the house, so there's no lender. If it's a cash sale in our Birmingham contract, it says the seller will pay all the cost of the title. If there's a mortgage involved, which means a lender policy, the cost will split equally. Now, the lender policy would be a little less because the mortgage is going to be less than the purchase price. Unless it's a DA loan, then it'd be the same, but normally it's going to be a little less. But still, you just split that cost. That's common. Walk through before the close. Or told you why? Because since you bought it, the house has been vacant, maybe a month. It may be 6 weeks before we actually close the deal. 6 weeks gives people time to move in. They didn't have anywhere else to go. They saw this house was empty, but the power's on. Let's just bust in the back door and we'll come on in here and we'll just make ourselves at home until they finally come and chase us off. It happens. We've had squatters to move in houses. You pretty much almost have to evict them. I'm not going there. Let's just stay on walkthrough. There's a lot in this business that you don't want to learn the hard way. This is one of those, do this walkthrough to find out, has someone moved in here and maybe cooking meth? They say, well, this house has been empty for about a month. Nobody's going to be coming. Let's just move in here and we'll just party hardy for until they get us out. You're also looking for other damage, like they were in there and they partied and they left holes in the walls and broken windows and all this kind of stuff. Well, as you walk through on your way to close, I'm going to get to closing and say, Mr. Seller, had you been in the house lately? No. You might want to go because we're not closing today. Here's what we just found. Back door's kicked in, all the appliances are gone. In fact, all the kitchen cabinets are gone. All the bathroom fixtures are gone. We've had this happen now. Everything. I mean, they stripped the house out. We called the police. They came out there, and there was actually a path from this house going through the backyard to a house back behind it. The cop told me, he said, yeah, we know who did it, but unless we saw them do it, nothing we can do. We can go over there and see the stuff in their garage. And he said, well, I bought it at the thrift store. You got to prove that it was yours that they stole. So on your walkthrough, that's why you're doing it. Walk in here and look. Is the kitchen still here? Because if it's not, it's the seller's problem right now. But if you go into closing, sign all the papers, now it's your problem. And remember, we are representing the buyers tonight. We don't want that problem. Closing process. A lot going on here too. Remember, we've already talked about all the people who were involved. We started out, sent the contract to the closing agent, then the clock started from our last signature on this contract. We may have started the negotiations, got the first offer a week ago. And we've been back and forth and talking to everybody and finally decided, okay, we're in agreement at this price, these terms. That's when our clock starts on these other things like the home inspection. Has to be done within 7 days. And then you give it to them. They got a couple of days to get back to you and then a couple more days to decide. There's a little timelines all through here. Got another timeline on the insurance. insurance companies don't want houses that have problems. Just like they don't want drivers with a bunch of DUIs. They're not going to insure you. Homes are the same way. They've got one now called the Clue Report. It's a comprehensive underwriting something. They know what it means. You call your insurance agent, say, hey, we've got a contract on this house. Can we get insurance on it? And how much is it going to be? But they're going to run a report on that house and say, oh my goodness, there's been 2 fires there. The owner ran through the garage door, ran all the way through and went out the back of the garage. Garage collapsed down. Lightning's hit the house. And the insurance guy's going to say, we don't want that one. And they don't have to sell you insurance. They don't have to. They're weighing risk. This house is to them jinxed. I don't want it. It's going. I know the owner's the one that drove through the garage and did all that, and they're gone. They're the ones that started the fires, but still it happened to this house. And they're going to say, no, we don't want it. But if they do insure you, insurance only covers certain things. They're called perils, and there's a list of about 7, like fire, wind, smoke, falling water, but not rising water. And we got to have flood insurance for rising water. People in New Orleans found that out 10, 15 years ago. They thought, well, I got homeowners insurance. The house is floating. Well, no, it doesn't cover rising water. A lot of people were shocked on that. Our closing process, all these things are coming together. You've got your insurance lined up now, you got your mortgage lined up, everything's lined up and everything is moving along. The underwriter's still working over here, verifying your employment and checking that car payment you had late 3 years ago. Well, they found out why you were in the hospital that month, and okay, they're okay with that. Let's move on. I've been to closings. I mean, it's not even underwritten at closing. They're still waiting on one more piece of paper. Let's get that one more piece of paper and get this thing done. Sometimes you won't even get the money at closing because the mortgage is not completely underwritten. So you'll do all the paperwork. Everybody's done it, and they give them the keys and good luck. Don't flush the toilet but once a day. I can tell you that now. But you get up from the closing table with no checks. That's called a dry closing. They're not that common. I mean, so maybe 1 out of 50 that'll happen to. Next day it'll all be done. The paperwork all finally gets cleared through, and it's funded. All the money's wired in now. You don't go to an attorney with a cashier's check. Used to you go with a personal check. And then they got a cashier's check. Now it's wired in. So everybody, you don't exchange money at a closing anymore. It's just wired. We've got a couple of the builders actually wire commission to us from the closing. They do their own closings, and they just next day it just shows up in your account. There the wire came in. So woo, love this job. Fair housing. Fair housing. Y'all remember the protected classes? Fresh corn. Do y'all remember? Really? Do y'all remember? F is. Oh, let's get some more coffee.
I'm sorry.
Come on, the coffee pot's still hot.
I'm my mind aches. Fresh
Familial.
corn, familial.
Familial.
Fresh.
R. We got 2 R's.
Mm-hmm.
Just guess at one of them. Race. Yes. F-R-E. We got an E and an O in corn. So your E and O insurance will not cover a violation. And E-O, and it's equal opportunity for everyone. So that's our F-R-E, and then S. This weekend, Saturday, we're having a pre-license review for all my pre-license
I know
folks.
it is.
I've never do referee just Friday night.
Yes, is Sally Sue.
It's what?
Sally Sue or
Six?
sex.
Okay.
Oh.
And
H?
H is, oh my goodness, because we talk about
We've already talked about it once tonight.
health. No.
Yeah, the handicap.
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 Yes.
Yeah, we talking
Now,
about
handicap.
fair
We gotta-
housing.
We gotta
Okay.
expand that one a little bit.
Mhm.
We talked about AIDS being protected under handicap
Mhm.
status.
Mhm.
Also, a drug user
Mhm.
or alcoholic.
Mhm.
They're protected if they are in treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they're not in treatment, you can discriminate against them. You can say, I don't want you in here using drugs.
Mhm.
You're gonna burn the house down, so get on out. But if they can show you, well, I'm in treatment, well, you know, it's not working. There's our fresh, and then we got corn over here. See? Oh, goodness. Y'all be in here Friday, Saturday morning, 9 o'clock.
I promise you I don't. I'm not thinking tonight, for real. I'm
See, it's a color,
a color.
and then we got the other O there, and then R. We have race over here. Now, this is religion.
Religion. Oh.
And then our last is N is national origin.
National origin.
I'm gonna give y'all an F on
Don't give us an F. I
fresh corn.
I'm just, oh my goodness. If you ask me anything, I'm not gonna remember it. I promise you.
Saturday morning is review for pre-license, and we'll cover fair housing.
Yes, we're, okay, 8 o'clock.
We got another one called Americans with Disability.
Mm-hmm.
The properties you're gonna be dealing with, you won't be dealing with this. We deal with it here as a public accommodation. The public, y'all are public here. Y'all are coming in and out of this building. If you were in a wheelchair, wouldn't you want to get on in here without having to like go up steps? No, it's gonna be tough to get up steps, so we've got to have the building accessible. Rule number 1 in ADA is get in the door. That's the first thing, get in the door. So you think maybe we start at the parking lot, ramp, the door wider, the threshold lower or no threshold, so you can come on in. The doors, still get in. Restrooms, did y'all notice we got one restroom here with the door about that wide? And it's big in there, you can roll around in there. The sink, you can get right up under the sink. Toilet's high. Y'all didn't notice that, did you? The only thing that's not in there, and it may be in there, I haven't noticed it, there may be a hand thing by the toilet.
The handrail.
Yeah, a little handrail. Those are the kind of things that you need to do here's the deal. Of the whole population, 0.8% have some kind of handicap. Half of those is a physical handicap, and probably half of those is like wheelchair. Okay, well, don't you want these people to do business with you? You got to kind of bend a little bit to help them. So ADA kicks in. Steering, we're getting a lot of fair housing kicking back in, but we're representing buyers now. Buyer may be in a wheelchair, so let's be thinking about these things. Steering, all right, the buyer, our buyer now, says, I sure would like to live in this community, but I went in their new home sales office and saw the map and all, and I looked all around the room here, and all I see are little white people. I can't live here because I'm not like them. And then they tell you, well, we got a special section over here that you may be more comfortable with people like you over here. Oh, they're just looking for trouble. That's why you go into these new home communities, if they've got pictures of families, they're going to have several races, nationalities. They're not going to have just all little white people around here. They're going to have a mixture. Maybe a good idea to even change those pictures up every now and then. Don't do things that are going to hurt people. You can't make a decision based on, you need to be with your kind of people. Religion's another one. Well, all the Catholics live over in this building. Whoa, let's don't go there. Everybody with children, we put them over here by the pool because they want to play in the pool. So if you got children, you need to be over here. Steering, don't do it. It's not your decision. They may be Catholic, but they don't want to be around other Catholics. They got children by the pool, but they don't want to be around any other children. They want to be over here with the old people. They have a babysitter over here. They got to go to work. They don't have time to watch the kids. A lot of reasons people make decisions. It's not our place to make those decisions for them. Let them decide, where do you want to live? Because you got this buyer, you know, let's just say, I don't know what kind of issue they could have, or whatever kind of issue they've got. You say, well, you know, there's a whole bunch of people just like you that live over in this community. Let me show you houses over there. And they're saying, I don't want to be over there. I want to be over there. So where are you going to show them houses? You're going to keep saying, well, I know you'll like these so much better. Now where you're going to see steering is just that kind of language. Instead of them telling you, oh, here are the good things, they'll give you the negatives. Well, I just don't know if y'all like it here by the railroad track. It's really noisy. And, you know, there's no public transportation around here. You know, it's just, have y'all noticed how bad the traffic is here in the mornings with all the kids? They're not giving you anything positive. That's how you know your antenna go up on steering and fair housing issues by they're giving you the negative things. They're trying to talk you out of being here. You're not going to be happy here. No, we know what's going on. ADA, we beat up ADA pretty good. Let's move on to some.
But with ADA,
That's
why
America's
aren't builders required to build houses based on ADA laws? Because if you go to new subdivisions, they are not building for handicap accessible people.
They will. They can do it. If you tell them, hey, I need this ADA compliant, they can. It's not a lot they got to do. They're going to have to make the doors a little wider, the bathrooms a little different, your kitchens. You may have to get under the counters. There are different things that they do. Adams Homes, built down in Shelby County. They had a guy come in, this has got to be in about '06 or so, and they didn't have anything handicapped. Everything was just their cookie cutter model. And he said, I can't do this. I've got to have this, 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 and this. Can you do it for me? And they said, yeah, we can do that. Come in here and let's look at the plans. And they got the plans out, and he said, okay, I got to get in the door. First rule, once I'm in the door, well, the door had to be wider, threshold down. And then once he's in the door, now we got other issues. Well, you think carpet's going to be real good for the wheelchair? No, we don't want carpet in here. We want hardwoods or tile or something that you can roll across. You got to have just so many things that we don't think about being able to walk around like we do.
So I know I went on a house like what is the name of that place? Over off of South Shades Crest.
Okay.
Silver Lakes.
Yeah.
So one of the houses, they built the house with the wider doors. Everything inside was ADA accessible, but you couldn't get in the house. So what did you, if if it's a new home and I have a client, just say in a wheelchair, and they like this house because everything is accessible, can you go back to the builder and ask them to come back and modify getting in the house?
I'm
Or
sure
does
you could.
the buyer have to pay the
Well,
cost?
it's gonna depend. The builder is not under obligation to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they built this house, they're gonna sell it like this. Now, you want modifications to it, that's just like you want another wall put up. It's gonna cost them to do that.
That's why I don't understand why builders aren't required to.
I don't think they are. Now, as a landlord,
Yeah.
we're under a little different rules.
Right.
Like if we have somebody that wants a ramp built, we have to make reasonable accommodations for them.
Mm-hmm.
That means we can build a ramp and get them in the house. Now, can they get in the doors and all now? Now, if we gotta go in and take the doors
Modify the
out
whole
and
house.
and
Mhm.
redo the whole house, that's not reasonable accommodations.
Right.
So the rules are a little different there on new homes like that. We manage one house, it's down in Calera, and it was built specifically for a guy in a wheelchair. It's only 2 bedrooms. The original model was 3-2, but he didn't need extra bedrooms, he needed extra space in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So all the doors in this house are wide, everything about it was built specifically for him to get in and move around. Now, it was sold, so I don't know if he died or what happened, but anyway, somebody else bought it, and when we started managing it, I thought, this is really unique, the way this is built. And I walk around there and look, because I'd never actually seen one that was built for handicap. And I was looking at all the different things, like the shower.
Mm-hmm.
There's no tub there. You can't get a wheelchair up over the tub, but you can roll your wheelchair into the shower.
Mm-hmm.
There's not doors on it. It's, the shower's bigger than a normal shower, so the water doesn't get all out in the bathroom. But things like that we don't think about. It was built for this. And I thought, we're never going to be able to rent this. But sure enough, we've rented it a couple of times. And people just love these big rooms. And all the floors, there's no carpet anywhere in the house. It's all that engineered laminate flooring, just smooth everywhere. I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Fair housing test. All right. Here's the thing about fair housing testing. I worked at a builder in '09. Worst time in the world to even be in this business. And a builder, it just wasn't working. But in '09, I had a little model down there, and I'd go to my little model every day. About a half a mile from my model was the fair housing office. And I thought, those people are going to come down and test me. Every time the phone rang, you better be saying the same thing, talking the same way to everybody you talk to, because they'll call you first. And they can just run over there and check you out pretty quick. So every phone call, I was listening and giving the same information, because they will have like a little white couple. You can hear them on the phone, talk different, and they'll ask you questions. And you'll say, okay, you would like to see it, come on out. And then maybe next day, maybe that day, but sometime you're going to get another call. It may sound like they're from the Middle East. You talk to them different. You're really not encouraging them to come on out and look. You really don't. This is 2009. We just got attacked by these people. I don't want them, and the neighbors don't want them here either. And you talking to them different. Well, they're recording all this. And then they sit down and they say, okay, here's what he said to these folks. And here's what he said to these folks. Next thing you know, somebody's going to be pulling up in a car, and they're going to be dressed a certain way, and they're going to come in, and they're watching how you interact with them. A little while later, maybe next day, maybe next week, somebody else is gonna come in that's gonna fit the other profile. Same kind of car, dressed the same way. There's no reason for you to be judging them on any of that. You're judging them based on some fair housing issue. Ouch. Those people actually get paid to catch you doing this. Don't catch them. Don't let them catch you. Fair housing, yeah, don't do it. It's the same. Fair housing, you got 3 rules. Fair, equal, consistent. You treat everybody the same. Don't say, well, you're not going to be happy around here. You won't like it here. All we've got here is, these people, and you won't fit in. Oh, they're coming after you now. They'll be coming. You just go ahead and mail your license on back. But they're out there. We've already beat up fair housing. Just know that they're going to test you. I don't know that any of those people ever tested me, but every day I drove by the fair housing office and I thought about it. I said, I got to treat everybody fair, equal, consistent. The only thing you can actually discriminate on is credit. That's the only thing you can actually discriminate on. Now here's our working with multicultural. Look at that. White, what's that say, 51%? Hispanic, 30%. African American, 10%. And what's that, Asian American, 8%. American Indian, 1%. Well, why would any of those get preferential treatment over any of the others? The only thing I can say is, what's your credit score? That's the only thing. If you got the credit, you can qualify, you're in. Our main business here is property management. Property management, we're getting all this information. We're meeting you. And we're getting your information, and we're going to run credit checks on you. We're going to verify your income. Those are the only 2 things that count. Nothing else counts. The owner will send them a little summary and say, this person wants this house. Here's their credit score. We have a minimum credit score that we're not going to rent to you below that. Well, the mortgage company's not going to give you a mortgage below that either. Your income, it's got to be a ratio of the rent for you to qualify. Below that, you don't qualify. Those are the only 2 things that I can even look at. We send the owner this little report, and I said, well, tell me more about them. Where they go to church? Oh no, oh no, oh no. We're not talking about what's your name. Nope. I'm not giving you that name either. Name may be Muhammad. And the owner said, oh, yeah. Fair housing. You're in a little box here. Don't get out of it. More about how to work with different populations. This is something that I didn't really, but the Hispanic population, they are really family focused. I mean, family means everything to them. They will help each other out with money, jobs. Look, you can come, 10 of us will live here. 1-bedroom apartment, all 10 of us are working, we're all kicking money in, and as soon as we can buy a place, we're going to buy a place. They will work together really well. Okay, we've already, I believe we talked about this. First showing is on the internet. Professional courtesy, on our setting our appointments. Nowadays on the multiple listing service, you go in there and you click the house and you've got all the information on it. There'll be a little button over there called showing time. That's how you set up appointments now. Used to, you had the agent's name down here, the email. You call them, send them an email, say, I'd like to see this house Thursday at 3. Now all that's gone. The information's still there, but they're not going to answer their phone. They're not going to return your email. But showing time over here pops up, you click on it and it brings up a calendar and you say, okay, Thursday at 3, click that, and it sends them an email. It says, you got somebody like to see it Thursday at 3. And you say, works for me. And they'll call if there's somebody living in the house, they'll call them and say, can somebody come at 3 on Thursday? And I said, well, yeah, well, we don't get home till 5, and the dog's loose in the house until then. Can they come at 6? Send that back, and you call your buyer, and they said, can you go at 6? I gotta get the dog up. And that may be a red flag right there, but you can't go at 3. But it's all done through the internet. And you get it worked out, and then you go, and you've got an electronic key to get in the house. You just go up this little blue box there called a super box, and you just got a code, and you just click your code in there, it'll drop down, get the key, open it, go on in. Leave a card. When you go into a house, leave your card. It's a good idea to put the time when you were there. Also, when you took this listing, if you remember last night we took a listing, and they gave you a key. Go by the hardware store and get you another key, maybe even 2. Because you're going to leave a key in this lockbox, and if that's the only key you've got, and an agent comes along, gets that key, and takes it with them, now you got to get a $100 locksmith to go over there and get in the house for you. So always have you an extra key. But anyway, you're showing the house today. You go in, leave your card. All right. If the lights are off, you turn the lights on, turn them off. Don't be taking a shower in there and eating in their kitchen and just moving and just, oh, I don't know what it's like to live here. Well, just hang out for a few hours. No. You go in, look at the house. You may want to sit down. In fact, it's a really good idea as a buyer's agent to have the sales contract there with you and sit down at the dining room table to fill out the contract. They're moved in there. They're looking around. I can live here. This is working for me. And you got a better chance of actually doing the contract right there than bringing them back to the office and doing it. They can look around now. Got a question? Go over and look at it. Was that a gas fireplace or was that wood? If they're in the office, you're going to call the seller and say, was that gas or wood? And now we're off and our mind's in a different place. You're sitting at the dining room table, you can just walk over there and turn it on for them. Oh yeah, gas logs with an automatic lighter on it. That'll be nice. Take care of it. Like I said, don't be going through their bathroom cabinet looking for drugs. Don't be going through their drawers in the bedroom looking for whatever you're looking for. Don't do that, because I'm gonna tell you right now, everybody's got a camera.
It's true.
Nanny cams. It looks like a clock hanging on the wall, but it's a camera. I was in Atlanta a couple of years ago, and they had a news program on one night, Bad Realtors, and they had just a little like 2-3 minute video on a realtor going in and going through the drawers, going through the cabinets, and then had another video, another one doing stuff. And yes, yes. Don't.
Nosy, don't be a real estate agent.
Yes. Just assume someone is watching you. We just talked about the showing schedule, how to do that. It's called showing time. And if you do make that appointment at 6 o'clock, well, they rushed home, got the dog out, took him for a walk, and I got him in a cage out in the backyard, and they ran the vacuum real quick and made sure everything was just like it should be, and then you don't show up. Would you want somebody doing that to you? No. So if you're going to have to break the appointment, get back with them. Say, we're not going to be able to make it at 6 today. Can we do it at 6 tomorrow? And then so we don't have to vacuum again. That'll be all right. Tips on showing property. I like the theory of showing the one that you think they're gonna like the best. Because they've told you everything they want. Show them the one that that you think this is what's gonna just fit them perfect. Show them that one, and then everything else is gonna be, I keep going, no. And they just keep reinforcing how great that one is, and by the end of the day, they want to go back to that one again. Let's go look at that one one more time. And boom, you're in. Antitrust, we've already beat up antitrust. Y'all know what that is. Don't conspire with other agents to set conditions or block out competitors. FSBO and your buyer, that's what we talked about. Buyer agency, that's how you will get a commission. When you go to a FSBO, and let's just say you don't have a buyer agency with this person. You just had transaction broker with them. They called you, can you show me this one? And you say, okay, well, you ask that seller, will you pay a commission? And they say, yeah, we'll pay you, whatever. You can either do a one-time listing with them, or you can skip that step and write in the contract, there's a big space at the bottom of the contract, seller to pay your real estate agency this much money. Now it's part of the contract. So if the seller accepts this, they sign off on that. Now, you as a real estate agent, what if he marks that out? What's going to happen?
Sweet.
You're not going to get paid.
I'm gonna sell this house.
That's why, let's go back to our buyer agent. Remember I told you right up there where it says, how much am I going to get paid? Be clear about it, because you're going to be carrying these people around and they're for sale by owners. That's what FSBO is. Also means fastest source of business opportunity. And y'all going to be talking to one between now and next Tuesday. And I want to report on it. Y'all going to tell me what happened when you talk to a FSBO. But you're going to have that covered in there. You're going to cover yourself. So if you do go to that FSBO and he said, no, I'm not paying anything. Well, the buyer has already agreed to pay you a commission. And you've got the agency agreement to prove it. Okay, that's what we just talked about. Negotiating, and we just did that too. Contract to close. We covered that too a minute ago, about from when we lay it in the lawyer's closing agent's desk, or actually emailed it to them. All the things that have got to start happening, inspections and the loan and all this other stuff's got to all come together. And their timelines at the front and their timelines at the back. You've got to get the termite inspection done within 10 days of closing. Because that's the rule. I don't know why it's that way. Why can't we get that? There's not going to be that many termites that move in between now and the end of the month. But that's the rule, 10 days. How did we do? Can we explain caveat emptor? Yes, we can. Different types of agency and RECAD. We're good there. We talked about good communication skills. We did. Steps in buying a home. Fair housing, antitrust. Yes. Explain disclosure, inspections, financing. Got that. And showing property in a professional manner. We covered that. We did everything and we only went over about 2 minutes. Wow, look at us go.
Yeah, good.
Now y'all gonna be back in here Saturday morning for pre-license review, and we're gonna do fresh corn agency. We're gonna cover a lot of these things that y'all might have forgotten in the last couple of months.